The first thing I wanted to ask you today is a very literary question, which is how many tattoos do you have?
It's such a literary question. I think seven. Yeah, I think seven, which is a good number. So yeah, we're probably going to stay there for a while.
You've called your new book, Particulate Matter, a love letter. Can you explain what you mean by that?
It's a testament to my relationship, my marriage. We went through some very difficult things when my spouse got very sick due to air pollution, essentially, and environmental pollution. I mean, she'd always been incredibly like powerhouse athlete, just always I mean, it was devastating to see someone so strong and so healthy get taken down in the way that she did. And it was a really scary time. And I think that it was just one of those moments where it's a kind of test that you hope to never have in a relationship. To literally be thinking that your spouse is going to die suddenly for no fault of their own. This is not something that she brought on herself or that we had any control over. Finally, we did have control in that we moved to better air. So that was, part of what the book is about too, which is a real privilege to be able to do that. But I think that, it was a moment that was really difficult in our relationship, but we got through it and we went through it together. And I did everything that I could to be there for her. And she continued to be an amazing spouse in every way that she always is. And, it's also a love letter to our city, to Los Angeles, to where we live and to the ocean and the mountains. And here we are in the midst of, in this book, in the midst of fire season and so much environmental damage going on from various things. But I still love this place. And so it's the same sort of thing. It's like, love is complicated.
When I first read Particulate Matter, I was a little bit surprised that you quoted scripture. Granted, it only happened once, but it led me to wonder, did you have a religious upbringing?
I actually didn't. My family was religious, but generally respected my decisions to not participate. So my family actually came over from Mexico to get away from the Catholic Church, since that was part of the kind of political power structure in Mexico at that time that took advantage of folks and, was very difficult for people to be able to survive and thrive and do well under the church and the state at that point.
Your writing in this book is quite sparse. I've heard a number of novelists say that they find it harder to write a short story than a novel. Particulate Matter is not a short story, but it is much shorter than your two previous novels. Were there any particular challenges that you faced when writing a shorter work?
This was the form that just presented itself for this project. Part of it was that I was so incredibly tired and it didn't have the headspace or energy. I mean, it's just such a traumatic moment. I didn't have the headspace or energy to write anything long form. Like that just wasn't going to happen. But it also just wasn't. This started out as something that I just did every day to kind of stay grounded and to just observe some details around me and to take note of what had happened that day. I think a lot of the details were also things that I was noticing at home when Nina was not there. And so it's the kinds of things that I probably would have just like mentioned in passing, that were significant that day, things that I'd seen.
Do you ever listen to music when you're writing?
It's so funny, with this project, I didn't. But in the past, I used to have there would usually be one or two songs that I would listen to over and over and over as I was writing. That just kind of became, I don't know, I think at a certain point, it like clears my head to have something kind of, on repeat like that. But not with this book.
Was your great-grandfather really killed by a lightning bolt? And if so, can you give a little bit of context? When? Where?
He was. This was in Mexico, and it would have been, oh goodness, let's see. That probably was in the 30s, I think. My grandfather was a young boy, and my great-grandfather was out in the fields working. And there was a sudden storm and he got hit by a lightning bolt.
So there are many animals in your book. There are raccoons, scorpions, beetles, owls, coyotes, squirrels, hawks, crows, hummingbirds, dogs, of course, and even some ants who you call biting little fucks. What's your favorite non-domesticated California animal?
Oh, I can't choose one. I love so many of them. I mean, this is, I think, ever since I was a kid, they keep me company. They're my friends. I can't pick one, but I love hummingbirds. I will say that I feel a certain affinity to hummingbirds for sure. Spiders seem to follow me everywhere. So we have some weird connection. I don't know what it is.
Well, certainly you must have a least favorite.
I mean, those little ants were pretty awful. They were horrible. I think a lot of the area around here used to be, what's the right word? They're kind of like sand, it was adjacent to the actual ocean. So I think there's some sort of special beach sand awful ant, and they just were awful. They were horrible and very aggressive and tiny, so you sometimes wouldn't even see them before all of a sudden they were biting you, and just awful. So I don't like them.
At points in your book, Los Angeles feels almost like Armageddon. Why do you still live there?
It's the place where I feel most at home. It's just that simple. It's culturally, in terms of the natural environment. I mean, I really do. Los Angeles is so unique and so special in being able to, within an hour, be in the mountains or be at the ocean, be in really urban areas. There's such cultural diversity here. It's my family's been here since, my dad's family's been here in Los Angeles since the late 1800s, and my family's been in the area for 100 years. And it's just, this is what I know, and this is what I love.